Hi, this is Allison Lacoursiere, the owner of Clear Coaching, and in this podcast, you're going to learn my top tips on how to implement clear aligners in your practice effectively.
OrthoMarketing.com, 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.
Well, hello, everybody in podcast land. This is Dean Steinman from Ortho Marketing, and we are back with another podcast for you. Hope everybody is enjoying the summer of 2021. Hopefully that you're healthy, you're smiling, and your practice is thriving. So, clear aligners. Okay, there's always a misconception about clear aligners and how to bring them into your practice, and should you be doing clear aligners or Invisalign or another type of company. So we have with us today a very special guest, an expert in clear aligners, Allison Lacoursiere, who is the founder of a great company. Allison has started this company a while back. She's does a lot of different coaching. The company is called Clear Aligner Coach. And Allison, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. So, before we jump into the whole clear aligner program, why don't you tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got into the coaching world and training world, and what's your thoughts on what's going on now in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in Southern Alberta, a really small town. I went to dental assisting school and got a job in an ortho practice right after, got certified as an orthodontic assistant, and then got a job in Bermuda where I moved when I was 19 years old and worked in a practice there for 10 years. I started as a dental assistant, moved into treatment coordinating, and then finally I was the office manager for the last 5 years I was there. And during that time, I was able to scale the Invisalign systems in the practice and make them super profitable and robust and provide a really exceptional patient experience that people were actually calling the office to say, I want to get Invisalign from Allison. So I was really proud of that and really proud of the ability to make it so efficient that comparing the production of the Invisalign in the practice, it was comparable to an associate's production with me running 2 full ortho chairs and managing the practice at the same time. So from there, I had a lot of people kind of asking me, like, how did you do this? Like, tell us how you made this happen. And so I got my coaching certification through International Professional of Excellence of Coaching, got certified as a trainer for adults, and started my own coaching company to be able to help other practices do the same. And my passion really lies in empowering the team, teaching the team their role in the clear aligner systems, and really educating them and getting them excited about this process, because during the time that I was working in practice, I got to change so many people's lives with it. And now that's my big focus, is helping other people recognize their own power and their own opportunity with clear aligners in the practice.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about aligners. Okay, obviously you've had a nice journey there, and it must be great living in Bermuda and seeing beautiful weather 364 days a year. So it may rain one day, or a tornado, hurricane comes through. So we're all jealous of that. So let's talk a little bit about clear aligners. Obviously, there's a great big player in the industry, Invisalign, and they've done a fantabulous job of branding and marketing themselves. The public believes Invisalign is braces. More people search for Invisalign than do orthodontist or dentist. So they've done a great job doing that. But a lot of practices are kind of hesitant about jumping into the clear aligner part of the industry to offer that. There's a lot of lab fees involved and what have you. So let's talk a little bit about clear aligners in general. What's your opinion as far as if it's something that should be implemented into a practice, and why?
Yeah, I love this question. And I would say that clear aligners belong in every practice if you are planning to do comprehensive treatment planning. So what I mean by that is, if you want to treat the whole mouth and you want to give your patients the best experience, the best treatment possible, I think that orthodontics is non-negotiable when it comes to being able to set up your cases, to move teeth into the right position before restoring them. And so I think that a lot of general practices have the opportunity with clear aligners as the beginning of treatment, to start them as a phase one, so that they can put the implants in the right place. They can put the bridges, the fixed prosthesis in the right place before they do any restorative work. And understandably, for general dentists to take on Invisalign, it can seem like a lot at first, but I always just recommend start small and build your confidence as you go along, because then you can keep that production and that experience for the patient in practice. Like, your patient doesn't want to have to go to an orthodontist to get their teeth aligned so that they can then get their permanent prosthesis placed. Like, they want to be able to stay with you. And so for you to be able to keep that production in practice, take control of the entire treatment plan, and then provide the patient with the best experience and the best treatment possible. I think in today's world, like, we now know that orthodontics and tooth movement are necessary for that high level of treatment planning.
So let's talk about that. So a practice that is running aligners, and we work with a lot of orthodontic dental practices that are using Invisalign and other platforms for their clear aligners, and it's a difference maker. I mean, I have them in right now in Invisalign, and I think it's great. Back in the day, my sisters had the big metal ones. Both my kids had Invisalign, and obviously there's a big difference there. But when it comes down to making a decision as a business owner, what are maybe 3 things that a practice should look at as far as, should I be bringing in clear aligners to my practice or not? So 3 things right off the bat that they should be looking at and doing more research on that can really help them understand the value or benefit of becoming a clear aligner provider, or just staying traditional.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say 3 things that you would want to look at is, like, one, do you have the ability to the time frame, really? Do you have the time to be educating yourself and your team on the processes and the training necessary to start providing clear aligners? Because the teams that invest in the proper training, the proper systemization, the proper education and team buy-in, those are the ones that are going to be the most successful. It's not something that you can kind of take one course and just expect yourself to start doing immediately. It's important that you feel confident about it, because that is what is going to make it easier to present clear aligners in the future. And then I would say also just talking to your patients about it. Like, start talking to your patients about their desire to move their teeth, or if they had the option, would they want to do it, and really gauge your patient's interest. The reality is that most patients don't even know it's an option for them. Like you said, braces were the reality for so long that some adults really don't even know it's possible for them to move their teeth into the right place before they get any type of restorative work done. So I would say that would be the second thing. And then I would say probably just how it's going to fit in with your business model. Like, is this something that you enjoy doing? Is it something that you want to be doing? Is it something that you would like to learn? Because if you have absolutely no interest in it, it probably wouldn't be a fun thing to start,
Right.
implementing in your practice.
Right. So, let's look, at the forest through the trees. First thing you see, if you're bringing on, you want to start clear aligners, and you probably go right to the big boy and go right to Invisalign. You're going to see, whoa, I have to pay $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 for lab fees every time somebody starts. How did they get past that and see that, is this worthwhile or not? Because that's a big chunk of their revenue, a big percentage. So how do they even think about, wow, should I be spending that much money or not?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, like, when it comes to making a decision on which aligner system to use and really wanting to make the right choice here, my suggestion is always to look at the workflow, because we know that in a dental practice, like, time is money. It is so important to be efficient with your time. And so with Invisalign and choosing Invisalign, like, right off the bat, the workflow is going to be more streamlined. The support is going to be more streamlined. So that is one of the reasons why the lab bill can be justified, is that you are going to have a more streamlined approach to the workflow. And then after that, it's also thinking about what other treatment are you going to be able to present to this patient once they get their teeth aligned. And when I was a treatment coordinator, when I was the office Invisalign leader, I would present the treatment for a implant. But first I would say, we want to make sure that you're educated on putting these, your teeth in the right place before we place anything permanent in your mouth. Do you understand that? And do you want to go ahead and get the teeth in the right place first? And so it's like such a adjunct to restorative treatment that it allows you to like triple your treatment plan production almost immediately because you're presenting orthodontics and the restorative work at the same time.
Interesting. So, all right. So, first thing is to look obviously at the numbers and talk to your patients, do some research. Then, if you buy in and you realize that aligners are a part of the practice that you should be adding to now, what's the next step? How do obviously from a marketing standpoint, I know what needs to be done from that, but just talk about the internal standpoint. Um, how do you get your staff involved? Because change is difficult to do, and especially if people have been, a lot of practices have people that have been there 10, 15, 20 plus years. So now all of a sudden you've got this new technology, new ways to do things, new scanners, new protocols. Um, how would you suggest they get the team on board with this? Because change is not easy to accept. So what would what advice would you give somebody to do to, okay, team, we're going to meet now and we're going to go over, I got some great news for you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What's the first thing they should say to the staff and the team to get them on board?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a huge one. And this is something that I see a lot of practices struggle with. And so, what I will say, like, to very much avoid is to make your team feel like salespeople because no clinician, no hygienist, no dental assistant went to school to become a salesman. And
Right.
so, we have to make sure that we are presenting this to our team from a holistic, comprehensive treatment approach. So, why is this going to help our patients? How is this going to give our patients a better experience in our practice? How are we taking better care of our patients with the use of clear aligners and truly get them to buy in and understand that first? So, help them understand, educate them on the risks of malocclusion, what happens when we don't move the teeth, what happens when we aren't offering that service to our patients, what happens then, and the consequences of that, and getting your hygienists and your dental assistants to really understand that. And then from there, once they're bought into the treatment philosophy and to understanding how clear aligners can help their patients have a better life, have better oral health, start making a goal and start small because change is hard. And so when we say things like we should scan every patient or let's present every patient with Invisalign or clear aligners, it becomes extremely overwhelming to teams. So set a goal that's realistic and that they get something from it. Like money isn't the biggest motivator for teams, but it can help. So when you're noticing that you're starting to increase your production because you're doing more clear aligner cases, like set some type of bonus structure or goal with your team to let them know that their work is appreciated.
Yeah.
So get the buy-in and then set a goal together and then celebrate it. Celebrate the things that you're seeing and the changes that are happening. It's, when doctors or the office manager notices when there is a goal set and people are making small changes towards it, when you can just identify that person and congratulate them verbally, it really goes a long way. So find ways to celebrate it and then pull people out that are doing an exceptional job and just tell them that they're doing a great job. And it can become really, really fun. I've seen practice cultures really transform by being able to celebrate clear aligners because it's one of those systems that crosses every single team member. The hygienist gets to see the patient, the assistant gets to see the patient, the front desk, and everyone can celebrate the changes and the
Hmm.
transformations with the patient.
Interesting. So let's just, people have options now. Up until, several years ago, there were no options when it came to clear aligners. Invisalign was it, but now there are many other options out there. Um, what should somebody look at? How do you make a decision on which way to go? Because there are hundreds of companies out there that are offering clear aligner alternatives now. And obviously, you have the leader in the industry who are well known and have great experience, have great results, and have great support. But at the same time, there are other ones out there that are less expensive. We're obviously not a promoter of any of these. We're totally biased across the board, non-biased across the board. So, as far as Invisalign or 3M or OrthoSnap or any other program out there, what does somebody even look at to do the due diligence to determine, wow, I want to use this, or should I be having multiple, you know, um, programs or suppliers to use? How if they're going to jump in, what should they do? How should they figure out which provider to use?
Yeah, 100%. And I would say it comes down to three things like education, support, and workflow. And I would say Invisalign really does like have that education factor. Like they are constantly bringing out new education, training their teams, training their doctors so that they really understand what they're doing. And then the support, I would say making sure that you have support with your aligners. Like if you have questions, do you have somebody that's able to answer them quickly and easily, especially when it comes to setting up the treatment plan? And then the workflow, making sure that it's seamless and easy for your team members. The last thing you want is to have the digital workflow be like interrupted because not all of your systems are talking. So when you have a scanner that you have to like download the STL file and upload it here and send it there, like it just makes it more cumbersome. And we have to be efficient in the practice, especially with clear aligners, to make it profitable. So I would say those three things are going to be what determines how to get started with clear aligners.
Interesting, great. So let's talk a little bit about your course. You have a clear aligner course, which um, practices people can join up and learn about how to take the practice to the next level. So let's talk a little bit about that. Because there are you're getting bombarded constantly. If you're a practice, you can check your emails or check your LinkedIn or Facebook, and you're getting constantly bombarded here. So talk a little bit about what somebody should be looking for in a course. Obviously, talk a little bit about yours, and what's the benefits of doing a one-on-one course or a specialty course on how to become an Invisalign centric practice or become a leader in clear aligners.
Yeah, I love that. I would say I agree. I think everybody's kind of sick of courses at this point. When the pandemic rolled out, it was like a mad rush for all these courses to get out in the industry. And I designed my Clear Aligner Leadership Academy because as a dental assistant, as a treatment coordinator, I was always looking for something that was specialized for me. And in 10 years of clinical practice, like I made a lot of mistakes. I learned so much, and I packaged that all into a course that would help somebody who is just getting started with clear aligners avoid those mistakes and really know how to solve problems and be more efficient right off the bat. So I would say when you're looking for a good course, like, is it relevant to the skill set that you're trying to establish in your practice? Is it easy for your team to watch it? Like, are you able to watch it across multiple platforms? Are you able to listen to it on audio or video? Like looking for things like that help both the visual and the auditory learner are going to be important for a really good course. And then is your course made by an accredited dental professional? That's also really important to know like what the background really is of the person that you're watching the course on. And with my course, I really just had the goal to be able to help the team take on a lot of the Invisalign systems because as a dental assistant, as a treatment coordinator, I loved that part of my job. It was so empowering for me to be able to talk to patients really confidently, to be able to present clear aligners to patients and answer all of their questions and really be a huge part of that transformation. And so that passion, I took it and I built a course to really help practices take their clear aligner and their orthodontic skills to the next level so that the whole team is doing the same thing, speaking the same language, and really on board together. So my course is like on demand. You can watch the videos again and again. And if you have a new team member that comes into the practice, they can also watch the course so that they're up to speed on the language, the verbiage, the terminology of orthodontics and understanding the Invisalign workflow and processes. So it's really to design anyone in the practice to be a clear aligner leader. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to help practices with that.
Great. And if you're interested in learning more, please go to yourclearalignercoach.com and you can get more information in regards to the course with Allison and see what's available and then obviously reach out to her. Got a couple of more questions for you, Allison. So I'm going to give you the ability today to go to Times Square and put up a billboard. Okay, it'll be seen by 10 million people. What's it going to say?
Oh man, that is such a good question. I would say I would say that it would say something along the lines of the future of dentistry is in digital technology and clear aligners.
All right, now let's even get further into it and forget about just dentistry. You're going to reach 10 million people today just to say something that's not business related? What's one bit of quote, advice, statement, picture, something that 10 million people will see today that has nothing to do with dentistry? It's
I
just
love
something that you want to pass around. Pay it forward. You want people to
that.
see, hear, or see, or whatever.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite quotes. And I do ask myself this question all the time. And as a good coach, I always am asking really hard, thought provoking questions. Um, and my question that I would put up on the billboard would be, what are you going to do with this one wild and precious life? And
Mhm.
I love that question because it really makes us remember that life is unpredictable and it is precious. And so, like, what do you want to do with it? Who are you in this world? And what really matters to you? These are questions I love to ask people and get them to think about, because I really believe like we need to be grateful for every single day that we have and to work hard towards the life that we want to create for ourselves.
Excellent. All right. Next question is a little bit more about you. The Earth is being hit by an asteroid in 3 hours from now. So you got 3 hours to plan and eat your last meal. What are you eating?
Pizza, for sure.
Ooh.
I love pizza.
Now, okay, so I'm a New Yorker, so New York pizza is different than any place else. So you're from Canada. I don't know what the pizza's like there, or out in Bermuda. But as far as pizza, break it down even further. New
Okay.
York pizza, Chicago pizza, deep dish pizza, Domino's pizza. What kind of? Let's go.
So there's a place in Bermuda called Rustico, and this is my favorite pizza I've ever had in the world. And it's like a thin crust with arugula, prosciutto, and Parmesan with truffle oil on it. And
Ooh.
that is my favorite pizza in the whole world.
All righty. All right. Now I've got one final question when it comes to that. All right. So now you have a choice: Reese's peanut butter cup or Hershey bar.
Reese's peanut butter cup
There
for
you go.
sure.
Good. All right. Now, as a business owner, as somebody that's educated, well read, what is some advice that you give to people as far as resources for them to keep up to date with trends, with being a better person, a better business owner, being educated? Are there any books or blogs or podcasts that you listen to that you think are game changers that you could recommend? There's like,
Absolutely.
sure.
I I am like a personal development nerd. That is like one of my biggest passions. I try to read like 3 books a month. I listen to a podcast every day. Staying educated and like up to date on information is really important to me. So I would say like first one that I really love, and I read the Harvard Business Review articles every day when it comes to leadership, when it comes to HR management, when it comes to trends in the world. Harvard Business Review is always a resource that I go to. And then for podcasts, I love Brendan Bouchard's High Performance podcast. I listen to that weekly. Lewis Howes' School of Greatness. He brings on like different educators, different leaders to interview them on different topics in the industry. I always love listening to Bruce Baird's Dentistry's podcast. He's really like lighthearted, fun, has amazing philosophy in terms of like treatment planning and comprehensively treating patients. And then one of my favorite books of all time is The Leader Who Had No Title by Robin Sharma. It talks about like no matter what position you're in, if whether you're the janitor or the president, like we have a job to fulfill and to always do our best, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, to always like, sweep the streets as if it was like the most important job in the world. And so that book really like talks about personal empowerment and motivation. And then one of my second favorite books is Atomic Habits by James Clear, which
Yep.
talks about our daily actions over time creating massive success. And I find that to be very practical, because sometimes we look at some of our big audacious goals and we think, how am I ever going to accomplish that? But the reality is when we do things daily, weekly, monthly, over time, it will result to exactly where we want to be in life, in our business, and just in our personal lives every day.
Terrific. Great insight. And we'll have links for that here at the podcast or in the notes. So please take a look-see there. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, Allison, what's the best way for them to do so?
I would say come to my Instagram it's called Your Clear Aligner Coach, or you can email me at Allison, 2 L's, at yourclearalinercoach.com, or go to my website and you can book a free consultation call with me. Even if you have any questions about my personal development habits or books, I'd be so happy to meet you and to have a chat. So either any of those places, I would love to meet you and have a conversation.
Great. That's excellent. Well, thanks so much, Allison, for joining us. I really appreciate it. Everybody out there, if you are not offering aligners in your practice, you really need to do so. They're everywhere, as you know, from do-it-yourself at home through from general dentists offering it to orthodontics across the board. I'm a user of them myself right now, and it's game changer. It really makes a difference, and you can see the results right away. And something I highly recommend. And it really will position you as a leader in your industry and in the community. So if it's something that you're thinking about, jump into it or contact an expert like Allison. She could walk you through what needs to be done. So Allison, thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Everybody out in podcast land, be safe, be happy, and keep smiling. Thanks so much. This is Dean from Ortho Marketing, signing off until we smile again. Bye-bye.
orthomarketing.com. 360-degree digital marketing solutions for your practice.